Hey guys, welcome to our midweek update, which is really kind of at the end of the week. I apologize, having a little bit of technical difficulty this week. I want to remind you if you would help us by subscribing to the YouTube channel and then liking us on Facebook, following us on Facebook. That allows us to keep you up on things. We've not been big on trying to promote. We're not trying to build a brand so much as we are just trying to keep up with everybody. So that will help us help you. Um, Also gives us a track of how well we're doing, so we'll know what to improve on. All right, I want to talk to you about an interesting thought this week. We're in a big national debate on when we should open up the economy. I'll be touching on it briefly in our sermon this weekend, but I want to talk about it with a little more depth right now. Just kind of dig in a little deeper. There's a big discussion about whether we should make sure the virus is under control, maybe even before we get a vaccine, before we open up. Others are saying we need to open up. We're Americans, we have civil rights. We see a lot of battles going on. Let me begin by this. Now, first of all, our hearts go out to every family that's been touched, either from the health side or from the economy side. And it is a really difficult season to go through. And so our hearts go out to you, and we want to say that every week. We don't want you to ever feel forgotten. But now we've got to make a decision about, do we keep everything locked down and keep driving our economy down, or do we open up the economy and risk getting sick again? It's not an easy question. It's amazing to me how many people are absolutely sure on what we need to do. But let me give a couple of observations I think I've been wrestling with that you may want to consider first. If you've been touched by sickness, if you've ever been in an ICU ward, if you've ever had to fight cancer or fight off some other life-threatening disease, your health is to you everything. If you were laying in ICU, if you were laying on a floor nearly dying, if you've faced death like that, you thought, I would give anything to see my kids again, to see my wife again, to see my husband again, to see my parents again, to see my friends, see my kids, my grandkids. I'd do anything to see them again, and nothing matters. If you've never been touched by that, then there's this side of you that if you've ever lost everything, you never want to lose everything. You don't want to be bankrupt. You don't want to have to start all over. And I'm watching families that have been touched by either of these, in some cases, both of these. And I'm finding that this decision, do I keep everything locked down and live and yet lose everything that I have and feel like, man, that was a risk I was willing to take? Or do I say, no, we've got to get well, and whatever happens, we've got to get well? And my experience, first of all, is this: whichever one you've been most touched by or least touched by is going to influence your decision. If you have been really impacted in a health way, then that's going to influence you in that direction. If you've ever been without or lost everything, got a friend of mine that's watching her business just evaporate. We've got a very dear friend that's a hairdresser that is just, until she can get back to doing hair, she has everything at stake. And so does she. How long does she hold off? She actually cuts my daughter's hair. She was a friend of mine in high school, has been a friend over the years. I've got another friend who is talking about losing the business. And then you see these reports of families that are suffering from death, the impact of this COVID-19. So let me give you a couple of thoughts that I think are important. The big one is this: I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know. I've had some very interesting conversations around the question of expertise and experts that you'll hear me mention again several times. And I've been fascinated by that. And what I've learned is I'm not an expert. Doesn't mean I can't be educated, doesn't mean I can't search things out. But it does mean that I'm very grateful for our medical team that's advising our president. I'm also aware that our president, our leaders, our governors, our mayors are having to make really hard decisions that you and I aren't having to make. They're going to live with the consequences of those decisions. We will live with the consequences of those decisions. But I will tell you this: You and I, for the most part, aren't going to have to live with the consequences of our decision on other people's lives for the most part. If President Trump, if Mayor Mary, if Governor Reeves, or whomever is out there, if they make a decision, entire communities are impacted. If I make a decision, I'll influence me and maybe a few people around me. So that leads me to this. I know there's a lot of debate about which one we should do. And here would be my challenge to you as a believer. Pray. So, well, Dan, that's really cheesy. It is cheesy. Or it's not. And here's what I mean by that. If we would spend as much time praying for our leaders as we do arguing about what they should be doing, I wonder if things would be different. Can't help but think that. I don't know what the Bible tells me about the economy and about health and what decisions I could make, but I can tell you this. Paul tells Timothy to pray for kings and all those in authority over you. So here's my challenge. For every minute that you spend debating and discussing what we should do, we ought to spend 4 minutes praying for our president, our governor, our mayor, all the people that are having to make that decision. I think our greatest call is to lift them up. And so I want to leave you with this. I don't know what we should do. Breaks my heart seeing people touched by the devastation of both. It makes us realize what a fallen world we live in and how fast things can change. But it doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to pray and actually the responsibility to pray. So my challenge, let's pray for our president and those in authority over us. Love you guys. God bless. I'll look forward to seeing you this weekend. Again, sermon and worship will be up by 7. Casey's actually putting out worship songs through the week. If you want to check on it on our website, livingstonfellowship.com, or YouTube, Livingston Fellowship. We always try to post those on Facebook. But we want to try to keep you encouraged. And then we will see you at 10 o'clock Sunday morning for our Facebook Live. Love you all. Look forward to seeing you as soon as I see you.